Have you ever really stopped to think about what happens when you flip a light switch or start your car? It's like tipping over the first domino in a massive, world-spanning chain reaction. And it all starts with the resources we use every single day. So let's follow that chain and see just where our choices lead.
I mean, our entire world runs on this stuff. It powers our homes, builds our cities, connects us across oceans. But there's always a cost, right? So what's the hidden price tag on the resources we rely on the most?
Okay, to figure that out, we've got to go right back to the beginning. We're going to unpack the connection between the stuff we dig out of the ground and what that puts into the air. This right here is where that first domino begins to fall.
So first things first, what even is a resource? Well, it's pretty simple. It's just a supply of something that we can use. Think about oil. It's one of the biggest, most valuable natural resources out there, and it's pretty much essential to how we live today. But it's only one piece of the puzzle.
So let's zoom in a little on one specific type, fossil fuels. And this is what's kind of wild. These fuels, we're talking coal, oil, natural gas, they're literally the compressed remains of ancient life. Plants and animals that lived millions and millions of years ago, squished and cooked deep underground.
Now, here's the crucial link. When we burn those fossil fuels for energy, they release something called greenhouse gases. You've probably heard of them: carbon dioxide, methane. What they do is act like a blanket wrapped around the Earth, trapping heat in our atmosphere. This is the first big domino to go down.
So, with that heat-trapping blanket getting thicker and thicker, what happens next? Well, the whole planet starts to react. Let's take a look at the immediate global effect of all those emissions.
You know, this quote really says it all. It's the basic science of it. More greenhouse gases mean more trapped heat, which means a warmer planet. It's a straight-up cause and effect relationship. The next domino has just been tipped over.
And where can we see one of the most obvious signs of this warming? All the way at the top and bottom of the world. The polar ice caps. These are just enormous sheets of thick, permanent ice. You can almost think of them as the planet's own air conditioning system.
And, well, here's the problem. As the planet's thermostat goes up, that air conditioning system starts to break down. The ice melts. And this isn't just about some faraway polar bears. This has huge cascading consequences for the entire globe, as we're about to see.
Right, those cascading consequences often show up as what we'd call disasters. So now we're going to see how a warmer planet and melting ice actually turn into destructive, real-world events that affect people everywhere.
So a disaster is basically any sudden event that causes a whole lot of damage and suffering. And these things aren't as rare as you might think. On average, about 60,000 people die every single year from events just like these.
So let's look at a few examples. As that ice melts and our weather patterns get all scrambled, we start seeing more and more devastating floods. All that extra water has to go somewhere, and it ends up covering areas that are supposed to be dry, forcing people from their homes.
Meanwhile, in other parts of the world, you get the exact opposite problem. Hotter, drier weather creates the perfect conditions for massive wildfires. And we're not just talking about fires in a forest. These are infernos that can literally wipe entire towns off the map.
And then, on the other end of that spectrum, you get drought. Just a long, brutal stretch of time with little to no rain at all. This hits everything. The food we grow, the water we drink. It becomes a crisis of just not having enough.
And that brings us to the end of the chain, the final cost of this whole domino effect. We're talking about the toll on all living things, from the smallest plant all the way up to us.
You know, when we talk about life, we're talking about millions of different species. Each one is a totally unique group of animals or plants. But as the environment changes and disasters get worse, a lot of these species find themselves in real trouble.
For us humans, those disasters like droughts and floods, they lead directly to shortages. A shortage is exactly what it sounds like. There's just not enough of something essential to go around. And as you can see, food is one of the most critical things we can run short on.
And when a food shortage gets really, really bad, it becomes a famine. This is way beyond just being hungry. This is a catastrophic lack of food that leads to widespread suffering and death. It's an absolute human tragedy.
Now, when disasters wreck homes and farms and entire towns, people have no choice but to leave. They're forced to flee. And if you look at the actual definition of a refugee, it includes people who have to leave because of natural disasters. This is creating a huge new group of displaced people, climate refugees.
And this number, well, this number is just staggering. It's estimated that by the year 2050, as many as 1.2 times billion people could be forced from their homes by climate-related events.
Let that sink in. Over 1 billion people.
Which leads us to the final, most permanent domino in this entire chain, the term die out. It means to go extinct, to vanish from the Earth, completely and forever.
And this quote just lays it bare. Researchers are estimating that our activities, the things that started this whole chain reaction in the first place, could cause countless species of plants and animals to just disappear. So let's bring this all the way back around. We started this whole story with fossil fuels, right? Which, remember, are made from the remains of ancient life. And now, our use of that ancient energy is threatening life on the planet today. There's a pretty heavy irony in that, isn't there? And so we're left with this question. Our choices are the dominoes. The chain reaction is happening, and it's causing changes that we can never undo. So, knowing that, what kind of world are we choosing to leave behind? What's our legacy going to be?